For this research project, what we're doing is we're taking the already established Bioengineering Senior Design course, which is a two-part course, a fall and a spring, and we are redoing the fall segment of it.
Now, as a course, it sits right at a tipping point.
We're keeping the same objectives, the same syllabus, and the same final exams. So we're taking the same material and we're just presenting it two different ways.
The content, I mean, you could make this as boring or as dry as you want. It's really, I mean, it's legalese to the max. It's regulatory. You can kill this easy. It's hard to teach. It's hard to make it impactful, meaningful.
Traditionally, the fall segment of this course was very heavy in lectures and guest lectures and student presentations. We're keeping some of the guest lectures and we're keeping the presentations that the students do, but we're severely minimizing the amount of time spent lecturing.
It's hard to apply it effectively, even in 2 semesters, to give some people practical applications and ability to practice it.
So what's going to change in this is we're going to be pulling out the lecture material and replacing it with experiential learning.
Are flipping the classroom like it's never been flipped before. We've been looking for a term of how to define what we're doing in the fall, and I still don't have a definition for it, but I think that it is making design more fun. Making it more accessible to people who have not designed before, who have only designed in a traditional method. We are making it accessible to more students.
This semester we had a really great time in sort of a flipped classroom type manner. So before class, students were reading the material
and taking mini quizzes on the material that they would normally be presented in lecture, and then when they get to class, when they get to that lecture time, they're going to spend the majority of that hour and 15 minutes twice a week actually doing activities.
It's you up out of your seats and builds on what you were supposed to be learning.
Whether it's we consider it a game or an activity, I'm hoping that it applies the theoretical knowledge to some practical thing.
To help them remember, learn, internalize the different aspects that were traditionally taught in a lecture format. Sit down, and we had Dr. DesJardins break out the objectives that he wanted each class period to teach. What was most important out of those 40 slides that he really wanted students to walk away with that he felt we should emphasize?
We have content. We're hemorrhaging content. There's always more to teach and more ways to teach it.
And then we're taking those important aspects and we're turning those particular parts of the lecture into game-based experiential learning.
Really forcing yourself to come up with hey, how would I make a classroom-long activity that does that? You know, takes some serious thought.
I think that in some ways we're trying in the classroom to distill the pieces of the process, hoping that students will be able to take those pieces and really run with them.
Finding that sweet spot of a balance between the theoretical rigor that would make somebody say, oh, you've really learned that design process, versus, oh, you can practice it.
But that's kind of how we developed these charts in order to figure out what's most important to learn and how best can we convey that message in a classroom setting. In the activities that we did, we taught them pieces of a process, pieces of the design process specifically. But then we also were trying to give them opportunities to practice the entrepreneurial mindset, to practice group work, to practice communication.
Creativity, brainstorming, open to new ideas.
To leave a design if it's not the right design and pivot to a new solution. To not fall in love with the first thing they invent and move past that into better and better and better iterations.
And that's a mindset that encourages critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity.
I think the theory can be taught. I think the tools can be taught. I think the ability for you to practice it can definitely be taught. I think it is a skill. and it is a skill set that has to be practiced.
These are skills that are soft skills.
And a lot of those things are thought to be taught, but they're taught in that passive learning way in which you're memorizing how to critically think and how to problem solve. But until you really do it, you aren't learning it.
There are pieces of the entrepreneurial mindset and pieces of the design process that can be taught through practice. Practice on the small scale, doing games-based learning in the classroom, and practice on the big scale, doing a full-length semester project.
I think all of those go into what we did activity-wise.
That not only does John want his students to learn in bioengineering senior design, it's also what the industry and the employers are demanding of our students when they get out of school.
It could definitely be seen as a first pass, so we are beta testing everything.
Because it does take a lot of time to develop and test and explore and brainstorm.
Something that we can go back and improve upon, and whether that's us self-reflecting or us looking at what the students' opinion of the project was, I definitely think that we can always improve.